Hi. Sorry. I just wanted to see if we were live. And we are live. I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. It's actually lovely weather here in Louisiana. The sun's not out, but the weather's nice. So that's a plus. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the states that are actually the prices are dropping. And I want to get your opinion. I put a poll out there. If you think that some of these southern states might actually even head into a full-on housing crash. I don't know if you guys saw, but the housing numbers, the employment numbers have been coming down. And I always maintained, and I will still stand by this, unless some other major economic collapse happens, what's going to bring home prices down was if there was a huge amount of people that lost their jobs. That is not the way I want to see anybody's home be reduced in price. I did the 2008 thing. I never want to live through that again. But that's what it's looking like. It's looking like that. So anyways, we're going to get into that more. But first, I want to share with you some gossip. In the real estate world, we have things that happen kind of like behind the scenes. Agents get in trouble for all sorts of crap all the time. And you've had your fair share of dealing with real estate agents that weren't necessarily, let's just say, ethical. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, so I have to show you this article. I'm not going to read you the article because the headline says it all. So Eddie, if you could go ahead and put this up here, because I think you guys need to see this and what the repercussions of this were. Eddie's going to put it up on the screen. I wanted him in here, but he wouldn't come in. Okay, so she was fired because she wrote on a receipt, on the credit card receipt in the tip area, that she didn't want this particular person, that she was going to give them 0, and that she hoped that blah, blah, blah. You can read the rest, right? You can see it on the screen. The thing is that this kind of action made her lose her job, rightfully so. But it also, I think, will prohibit her from ever having a license again, because I don't know if you guys know this. Real estate agents have to sign a code of ethics, especially if they're a registered realtor. Not everybody gets that designation. You have to pay your dues and be part of that association in order to have that special symbol that you see when it says realtor. If she was a licensed realtor, she may not be able to get her license again. But if she's just a real estate agent and doesn't have that designation, she could work anywhere or work for herself. The kicker to all of this, of her being just a horrible human being, and I will say, I'm sorry, this is just trash. The kicker to all of this is that she started a GoFundMe to help her pay for diversity training so she could be a better person. She wants you, everybody out there, to feel bad for her being a terrible person because she lost her job. Oh, there's just, this world to me. I had to share this because it was just like one of those things I saw and I read and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? And then when I found out she started a GoFundMe, unbelievable. A bunch of people have reported it. I don't know if it's still up. You guys can go find out for yourself. But the fact that she felt like that she needed to supplement her income because now her income has her ability to do her job has been taken away from her. And the internet has been so incredibly cruel to her. She felt like she needed to have a GoFundMe to support that. Gross. Gross. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there. Every once in a while, you got to throw in a little bit of real estate gossip. And if I have it, I'm going to share it. Yeah. Oh, somebody said, don't let her file unemployment. She cannot file unemployment. She will not be able to file unemployment. Maybe in her state, maybe she will. Yeah, I agree, Margaret. I agree. So now let's talk about the states that are going to get more affordable, but at what cost? So there's an article that came out talking about these several states that are now coming down in price. I think that the states that have the most, and I've told you this a gazillion times, the most new construction are going to face the highest amounts or lowest amounts of price reduction. If you have an excess supply and it's not selling, then you're going to have this wave coming through. That being said, interest rates have been doing some really interesting things. I don't know if you saw that the interest rates have been, doing this. The bond market is reacting to all of these new policies that have come in. And some of these big time investors, we're talking like BlackRock, the big ones, they don't like uncertainty. And so when they don't have they don't have a lot going on in, the stock market, they don't have a lot of faith in it. They start investing in the bond market. So it's been taking a little dip. So I'm interested to see how the markets will react in the next 7 days as far as the bond markets are concerned. So we could see mortgage interest rates coming down if that uncertainty starts spilling over with more big investors, because they like the reliability of the 10-year treasury yield. So Jay, you know what? If you ever find anybody that is not being ethical and they are a licensed realtor and they have that symbol by their name or the company's name, you can actually file an ethics complaint against them. We have to do that. Like here in Louisiana, if you're going to be part of the board, you have to be a licensed realtor, not just a real estate agent, in order to be a part of the MLS. And if they've done anything racist, ageist, anything against people with disabilities, they do any kind of steering, those kinds of things, you can file an ethics complaint against them. So, I mean, it's out there. You know what, Raina? That's exactly what I was saying. She said, why would you even go to that restaurant if that's how you felt about those people? I don't know what, sometimes, as well as I do, there's just bad people in every profession, right? And realtors already get a bad rap. Real estate agents get a bad rap as it is. But then it's things like this that doesn't help the situation, Do people? Yeah. So when I checked the first time, people had she had amassed $200. So it might have been some family members. When I first saw it, she had amassed $200 for her GoFundMe. Yeah, you can file that. Yep, you absolutely can file an ethics complaint against a real estate agent. Yep. Yeah, well, that's why, and this is the part where I can complain about the National Association of Realtors. They have not made it clear to the public what it means to have that symbol. They depended on us as real estate agents that are affiliated with NAR to educate the public on this, but they have not told the public what it means, right? What it is, how does it benefit you as a consumer to work with someone that's actually associated with the National Association of Realtors. And they've never explained that, we have to sign it. That's part of that. And then you as consumers can file a complaint because they signed it and they didn't abide by those strict code of ethics. They never have advertised that. I mean, all of the money that we have donated as real estate agents, not in all the years, they pay a lot of money towards lobbying in Washington, but they didn't do anything to help the public understand what it was they were doing for them and helping them get into home ownership. That's on them. So that I can complain about that. Northern Virginia is headed south. Property taxes up another 8% and thousands of jobs gone. Yeah, well, they're, it isn't just Washington area, Virginia, that area. There's lots of areas that are having layoffs. So lots of plants that are having layoffs. In Nebraska, I don't know if you guys saw this, that they have a shortfall. And if they don't adjust their budget right now, they're going to be like broke in about 6 months, big time broke. So, I mean, there's a lot of areas that are struggling. Eric the Blue says the largest layoff is coming from the federal government employees this summer via RIF, reduction in force. That is some of it, yep, but it's not all of it. There's a lot of corporations that are laying off people, And some of them are doing it kind of sneaky too. I mean, who knew that a corporation could be so sneaky? They're saying like they had a bad performance review, or they didn't meet the expectations for the past year, even though they've had no written write-ups or anything like that. Anything to get away with not having to pay unemployment. So, or, offer a package for them to leave. So whatever, that's a whole different tangent. Helen says, question, if the recession is anticipated, is it better to buy now with a high interest rate and refinance later to avoid competition with increased buyers with lower rates? This is one of those things that people talk about timing the market. And the best time to buy a house is when you can afford to buy a house. That doesn't mean that there couldn't be price adjustments in your area. You have to always put in some kind of risk element to buying anything, including real estate. You have to look at the area. What was the effect of the last 2008 financial crisis? Does the area have an explosion of new construction that's sitting on the market? Is the area still going to be continuing to thrive even with an economic downturn, or all the industries in the area dependent on like certain things? Like, I'm going to give you an example. Detroit was the motor city. Everybody, you worked in the car industry. When those car industries moved to other areas, what happened to Detroit? It went to the wayside, right? And if you had bought like right when those plants started closing, you bought at the height and you're never going to get that money back. Like, try to put that in perspective. Here in Louisiana, we have a ton of oil refineries. We have a lot of chemical plants. If those were to shut down tomorrow, this state would be in bad straits. I mean, those two things are not going to happen anytime soon. But it's those kinds of things you need to kind of weigh out before you decide to buy a house. Now, if you happen to live in an area that is has a very diverse economy, it had some effect in 2008, but nothing that was huge, like in some areas in Florida, in Las Vegas, and those kinds of areas. If you can find a house and you're willing to decide if you can make that deal, then go ahead and do it. If you plan on living the house for 10 years, because no matter what the situation is, everything evens out in 10 years. People that bought at the height of the market in 2008, even in some of the worst areas, but in 10 years, it all evened out. Everything was evened out. They had paid down their mortgage quite a bit. They may even have refinanced or restructured their loan. They got all of their equity back that they lost during that financial crisis, and everything was fine. So just look at it that way as well. The Peaceful Warrior 400 years said, why would you say something like that to someone you didn't even know? Oh, you're talking about that real estate agent? I don't know why a lot of people say a lot of things. If you look at the comment section of all of my videos, and I mean, I'm talking about like, manufactured housing. I'm talking about mobile homes. I'm talking about modular homes, tiny homes, and everything. And I get so many hate comments, whether it's about my makeup, my body, my hair, my nose. I mean, everything under the sun. How I talk too fast, I will talk too slow. People feel like their opinion matters. So a lot of times, and you guys have know me a lot. I know that my tried and true tribe here, my subscribers will watch the video within like the first day or so. Then after that, the people that don't know me tend to be the ones that come in after that. So I always pay attention to the comments and try to comment and heart all the ones that come in that first day. And then after that, I kind of like have to walk away because the comments get uglier the more time goes on. I mean, they've said so many things. I've had to block so many words. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, Eddie put the number on the screen for next week. So next week, Eddie, I even left that tab up there. So we were supposed to have our tax guy on this week, but we only got 2 questions that came in. And then the tab was under his secretary's email account. And he was like nervous and everything. So if you want your questions answered when it relates to real estate and real estate taxes and the deductions that you can have for your anything that revolves with real estate, ask those questions here, whether that's age related questions like, because I'm over 65, do I get more of a deduction if my house is paid off? Those kinds of things. Ask that here. And he's going to go ahead and put that link in the description. Once this video or once this live stream is over, I'm going to use that as the pinned comment so you guys can click on that link afterwards. Eddie, go ahead and put that link in the description. Yeah, there's something wrong with my nose. Apparently it was too big, I don't know. I don't know. So Eddie, can we get that article that we were talking about, the states that are going to see the biggest drop in price, please? Yes. So you call this number right here, by the way. It's an AI robot that sounds like my voice, and she's super freaking rude. It's like a bad copy of me. Home prices are about to fall if you live in these states. This is according to isn't this Newsweek, Eddie? Am I right about this? Is that Newsweek? I think it's new. Oh, what did you say? Nobody heard.
Yes.
Me. Yes. Okay. It is Newsweek. All right. This was published on March 4th. Go ahead and scroll down. There's a bunch of fluff at the beginning. These first two paragraphs are blah, 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 blah. Everybody knows what happened. All right. So scroll. Oh, go ahead. Scroll back up. Scroll back up. Maybe this was a different article. The housing market is experiencing stark regional differences, with some areas seeing rising inventories. Like
sorry, it's the Post.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. It was the New York Post. Eddie was wrong. Eddie was wrong. All right. Rising inventories in Colorado. The other areas that are seeing nationwide reduction in price are Texas and Florida, Colorado, Louisiana. Those are the ones that are seeing a price reduction. Here in Louisiana, I think we just, I think it was totally reactionary how much we went up. Nationwide, the stash of homes for sale is playing catch up. The National Association of Realtors says January's existing stock was 16% shy of the 5 years back. So prior to the pandemic, it's only 16% less, but it's still less. Blame homeowners clinging on to cheap mortgage rates. They've been bolted in place, scared to trade up and face today's loan prices. But those grips loosening as life forces more folks to move, nudging the supply outward. I will say also, though, as the spring hits, we're going to see how the public, is reacting to first mortgage interest rates. Secondly, if they even feel inclined to pay the prices that they're willing to pay, are some of these prices might actually start coming down, because I think buyers have gotten exhausted because these home prices have continued to go up. So it'll be interesting with the reflection of how people are feeling right now, if this will be reflected in the housing market this spring. The housing market is experiencing stark regional differences in some areas and inventories like Colorado, with price cuts and the supply shortage and bidding wars. Some areas are still seeing bidding wars, I'm like up in New Jersey. The Northeast is doing fine. The national home supply remains below the pre-pandemic levels due to homeowners holding on to mortgage rates, but the trend is easing and more people are willing to move. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question. We all know that Florida's seeing some price reductions. Not everywhere, by the way, just certain areas. A bunch of people are deciding to sell. Whether that's a lot of Canadians are deciding to sell. The interest rates have stopped people from purchasing. The insurance rates, or even being able to find insurance, has been really, really terrible. And I want to know, would you still move to Florida if you had the ability? I want to know in the comment section. So this is saying Texas is drowning in listings. Realtor.com, Realtor, I better say that right, pegs it for sale, piling up 20% above the pre-pandemic days. Florida, Colorado are swimming in extra homes too. And we know that during the pandemic, I didn't know about Colorado, but Texas and Florida were building like crazy people. So meanwhile, the up in the Northeast and the Midwest is a ghost town. 15 states, including New Jersey and Pennsylvania, are stuck with less than half of their old normal. What's driving the split? For starters, builders went down south. The National Association of Home Builders clocked 118,000 unsold move-in ready homes last December. This is the fattest stack since 2009. But those are in southern states. That's where they're seeing the most inventory. There isn't a lot of space to build up north. They've kind of overbuilt over there. I shouldn't say overbuilt. They've built what they could build with the amount of land that they have. So Florida and Texas soaked up the most action, with the permitting stats showing that the Sunshine states housing stock ballooning 15% since 2020. Brad O'Connor, chief economist at Florida's Realtors, told the Wall Street Journal, the trouble is buyers aren't biting. Mortgage rates are sky high, and those shiny new builds are gathering dust, bloating inventories. Flip the script. States like Illinois, where the red tape is sky high and construction costs choke new projects, existing homes, forget it. So yeah, those areas that have a lot of restrictions, they don't have as much supply. Despite many homeowners in the state wanting to move, the limited supply, inflated prices leave them with little option to stay. Supplies jammed tight. Then there's the mortgage lock-in twist that is fading faster than some spots. Down south, 21% of mortgages were at 6% or higher. Q3 compared to 18% in the Northeast. This is due to more homes having swapped hands in the South since the rate spiked, thanks to folks flocking there. Some Southerners are a tad more likely to own outright per the 2023 census. Mortgage-free sellers can dodge new loans and jump the ship easier. So would you move if you would you move to Florida? Eddie, did anybody answer that question? Over evaluations are another buzzkill. Sunbelt states like Florida rode the pandemic moving frenzy, with the median home prices spiking 64% in 5 years. That is insanity. Illinois and New York jumped 42%. Florida's party's crashing. Insurance costs are nuts, and owning a home now eats 44% of local paychecks. 44% of the income is going to people's housing payments. I want to talk about this in just a second. Up 28% in 2019. With the migration cooling, the high rollers propping up, the prices are thinning out. So I've seen two people complaining on social media, and this is just in my personal area, that they bought a house in 2020. They're very excited to buy a house in 2020. And now, because of the increase of insurance and their property taxes going up, that extra cost now of an additional $350 to their payment is killing them. And when you've done all the right things and you paid on time, nobody's anticipating in a less than 5-year period of time that your homeowner's insurance would go double that cost. Then they said like the cost of maintaining their homes has gotten a lot more expensive than it was years previous. And a lot of people are actually making the decision to probably sell this spring because they can't afford everything, not with the increase in taxes and the increase of insurance. So we could see even more coming on the market this spring because of those two things, especially in areas that are like Texas, Louisiana, Florida, where you see a lot of hurricanes and you've seen these increases in insurance. Because if you're squeezing people out, I don't know where they're going to go because rents haven't gone down that much. It'll be interesting to see what happens. No, YouTube Unfold says, nope, not going to move to Florida. And so he says, not a chance. No on Florida. Florida will have to move me. No to Florida. Yeah, Beth would move to Florida. If you gave me a tax-free, mortgage-free home in Florida, I'd sell it. No, not Florida. Maybe to visit the beaches. Nope, Florida has people. I avoid people states. What state doesn't have people? I need a GoFundMe for my first-time home purchase. A lot of people do. JK says, I would pass on Florida and Texas. North Carolina sounds better. Yeah, I like the seasons up there. No on Florida. Gene Crow says, no on Florida. Absolutely not. Not going to do it. No to Florida. I already lived there. No. Moving to the South with a crazy weather. No. Oh, only we got one says, yeah. One said yes. Maria says no. Nope. Yeah. No on Florida. Yeah, I lived in Florida. I feel like I did my time there. I will never go back. I will never ever go back. No to Florida. I don't want to be around hurricanes. Correct. I gotcha. I live in Florida and I can't get out. I cannot afford housing anywhere. Wow. It got crazy. Back in Eddie and I had bought our house way before the financial crisis. And then the interest rates kind of started coming down and we thought, oh my gosh, we bought it the wrong time. We actually bought it the right time because as the interest rates went down during that time, the housing prices went up ridiculous. And when they told us that our house was worth $250,000, I'm like, our house that we bought for $130,000 is now worth $250 in less than 3 years. Are you kidding me? So stupid. It's a little tiny house that didn't even have a pool or nothing. And I couldn't believe how much it went up. And the same thing happened over COVID. So Kim Kimball said, yes, I'd be willing to move there when my husband retires, but we have a lot of family there. Well, that would be a good reason to move there. Florida's gotten too expensive with property taxes, 10-year roof rule, flood insurance, etc. Yes. Yep. If I have the ability to move Florida, but I'd never move there. High insurance and taxes caused me to sell my properties in Texas. Yeah. Yep. We've got a lot of people saying no to Florida. I live in Florida. I need to get out. Oh, yeah, man. Oh, I live in Florida. I'm trying to get out of here. Yep. Chiming in. No to Florida. MH08 says, nope, not going to do it. John Hobbs says, Florida would be okay in the winter, but storms make it a no. I think it's the insurance that makes it a no. Willow Thicket Farm says, no way, Florida. We're building and moving to North Carolina in the foothills. Yeah. I'd love living in Florida. Well, David, that's wonderful. I'm glad you do like it. The weather's nice. I mean, if you don't want like cold at all, it's perfect. What's wrong with Florida? We were just talking about if you would want to move to Florida with the insurance and the taxes and everything else that's happening. They're seeing some price adjustments in several areas around Florida, more drastic than they anticipated. And a lot of that has to do with numerous issues, but insurance and taxes being one of them. Eddie has to have a pool. Eddie has to have a pool. No, Eddie does not want a pool because it gives him one more thing to tinker with over the weekend. That is one thing I'm so glad that we didn't do because we were this close to getting in a pool in our backyard. And Eddie likes to do things. And when he does things, he never does them half rear end. And like when he mows the lawn, he's outside mowing that lawn for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So if I gave him one more thing that he had to tinker with, we would never see him on the weekend. Never. Rick Smith says, what's wrong with Florida? Hot, humid, high crime, hurricanes, too crowded, traffic. It has, just like any area in the United States. It doesn't matter what city, what town, what state you move to. It all has its pros and cons. It's if you can live with those cons and those pros. I didn't want to go back. That wasn't a thing for me. I never want to go back, but I experienced it. I'm glad I did. Just to know that that's something I don't want to do. When we decided to move to Louisiana, everybody's like, why the heck would you want to move there? We got so much guff on it. And then when people came to visit, it was nothing like what they thought Louisiana was like. Every area has its pros and cons, but the insurance for me is a big giant no. John Lavender says, no to Florida. Been there, lost the t-shirt. Luckily, we didn't lose our t-shirt. Fishing's great in Florida. Have you ever had a Florida lobster? They brag about those things. They're not good. I don't. Overjoyed says she needs to get out. Yep. she's putting out an SOS. Hey, you could put out a GoFundMe. Somebody else suggested that. Question about the 10-year roof rule. Okay, so Beth, I didn't know this was a rule in Texas, but it seems to be something that's been popping up here in Louisiana. Some insurance companies will not cover you unless your roof is at least is younger than 10 years. Whether you have a 50-year roof on there or a 30-year roof, it does not matter to them. They just know that there is so much hail and weather events that happen. They know that roofs after 10 years, or they feel like roofs after 10 years cause problems. And if your roof is not younger than 10 years old, they're not going to cover you at all. That's how they feel about it. Ours increased because our roof we just hit 10 years. That's what the reason why they decided they were going to go ahead and raise our homeowners insurance, because our house was 10 years old. And I'm like, but it doesn't have damage. Like, what the hell? I don't know. Peter says, question, is it all ethics violations to advertise unfinished square footage as finished? I see that done constantly now. That's not an ethics complaint. That could be an MLS complaint, or, you take it to your local board and say, how are they able to advertise this as a completed house when it's not fully completed? You can take that up to your state board. That doesn't fall under ethics. I'm pretty sure about that. That doesn't fall under the ethics for realtors. Yes. Like the ethics stuff that we have to sign, I'll have to pull them up for you one day so you can see what, and I'll give you guys a copy that we are supposed to sign of abide by. So there was a question that came up, Eddie. I didn't see that. If you could put that back on the screen, sir, I grandly appreciate it. All right, Helen, what she got? Says, if a recession is anticipated, is it better to buy now? Well, Eddie, I already answered that question. I answered that question like 20 minutes ago. He was about to give me the what for. If you could go ahead, we have one of our callers that came in, and it's a friend of ours, friend of the show, has been listening for years now, and she left a message on this number right here, so you can do that too. It's 888-255-0197. That's 888-255-0197. Thank you so much. Eddie, go ahead and put that one. It's our friend. Do you want me to put it on the screen?
Our friend, Mary Lou Palazzolo. I'm in Shelby Township, Michigan. I am looking at homes, and I see a lot of them are on crawl spaces. What's the difference between a crawl space and a basement, and what are the pros and cons? Thank you so much.
Okay, this is a great question. Here in Louisiana, we have lots of houses, especially older ones, that are on crawl spaces. Basements, not so much, but I can give you my 2 cents on it. The benefit here in Louisiana to be on a house that's not on a slab is so water can run underneath it. As you know, we flood here like crazy. So I would much rather be on a house that's not on a slab, but on piers. A lot of people don't like it because they're kind of noisy. Also, little critters can get underneath there and kind of make a mess. They can cause some moisture issues that come into the house as well. There's all sorts of reasons why people don't like them. It's also, because it's a crawl space, it can make it very difficult for people to get underneath there to fix things like pipes or anything that goes wrong with the house. When you have a basement, those can flood. You can have your own problems with your flood. You do get a lot of extra storage when you have a basement. It is a lot easier to get into some of those areas, like the pipes, that you can see. You don't have to worry and brave the elements and avoid snakes. There's no like crawl space. Yeah. Yep. There's a crawl space. Yep. It's just, it just makes it easier for you. As far as resale value, as you know, you're going to get more for having a basement than you would a crawl space. People like crawl spaces. They sell well. Buyers really enjoy, not a crawl space, a basement. They enjoy a basement. So if they were to do it comparably, a house with a basement is going to give you more money return on your investment than a house with a crawl space. How many people would buy a house with a crawl space? How many of you would buy a house with a crawl space instead of a basement? Yeah. Like, you can finish off a basement too. That's another benefit. You can at some point decide that you can take that basement and turn it into a whole nice den. Those I every time though, when you go down those things, it always feels and smells like a basement. I don't care what you do with it. I mean, I've seen people that have done like all sorts of like, I've really remodeled this thing. To me, it's so dark in there. There's no windows. And it has a smell that's just like uniquely basement. I don't care if they've insulated the living bejesus out of it. It just to me always has that I'm in a basement feel. Brian says, question, how much of a price reduction will be from people who have the means to move to another country, who are probably high proportion of population that can afford a current price? How much of the price reduction will be from people who have the means to move to another country, who are probably high proportion of population that can't afford the current price? I have no idea. I really don't know if like a good mass amount of people decided because they're individually wealthy enough to go move to another country, how much will be willing to take off their house? I have no idea. Only time will tell. I will flat out say I just don't know. Yeah. The Peaceful Warriors says, question, do you think property taxes will be eliminated with all the fraud going on with the current system? Interesting question. So I actually did a video this past Tuesday that came out, and it was all about property taxes. And the thing is they've come up with different ways to try to address reducing the cost of property taxes. There was all sorts of suggestions to offset that. The problem is that none of these solutions to eliminate property taxes it just won't work. Like you would have to do a lot of little things in order for it to work. Raise the property, not raise property taxes, raise the state tax up a little bit, take more money from corporations, charge for more road usage, like toll roads. You have to offset all the things that you're going to have to start paying for, because schools, roads, all these things are going to still need your fire department, your police department, all these things still need to be paid, and that's what your property taxes cover. So how are you going to cover that cost? So it'd have to be a bunch of different little places in order for it to work. What they wanted to do it in Texas, and they figured it out, that they were going to do it by increasing the state tax for, regular items, all sorts of stuff. And they found out it would have gone from like 6.5% or 7% all the way up to 22% in order to cover that shortfall that property taxes would have had. There was another suggestion where they said, well, why don't you pay for taxes like you do a car? You pay for your tax, title, insurance. The day of closing, that's what you pay, and then that's your house. But the problem with that is that people don't move. And what happens when you don't have a bunch of revolving real estate happening? Then you're not getting money all the time. So that wouldn't work either. But I'm always willing to listen to people's ideas on how to get rid of property taxes and how to offset it for everybody in the community and still be able to keep those very essential programs still going. You got to have a fire department. Just saying. Yeah. We'll get back to that basement question. I want people to answer that question from earlier, Eddie. Allegra says, what do you think of RV resorts with casitas for sale? Are you going to be renting the land from them and you own the casita? Is that the idea? Or are they using these casitas as rentals? Like, what's the idea behind them? I don't like any time that you have to rent the land from a company or individual. I think if you could find the ability to purchase your own piece of land and have whatever structure you have on it, do that. Because it's been happening all the way back to 2017, one of my earliest videos was talking about this, and everybody said at that time, no one was listening to me, but they were buying up mobile home parks, these big investors. and they were raising the rents astronomically on these people that had their mobile homes in these parks for years and years and years. Is very similar to RV parks as well. And they made it so that basically these people were priced out of their own home that they purchased. And when that happens, it's too expensive to move the house, or the house is too old for it so they end up getting a free house. The house had been paid for years, and they were just paying the lot rent in order for their mobile home to stay there. And then they had to kick them out because they couldn't pay those lot rents anymore. And they didn't care if you were old. They didn't care if you had been there for 20 years. They didn't care. They threw you out, and now they have a free rental property. And then so they fixed them up, and then they started renting them out to somebody else. And that was part of their investment strategy. And no one was listening, and nobody cared. And now it's happening everywhere, and it's happening in people's own neighborhoods. And now all of a sudden, now people are starting to listen. They're starting to care. So yeah, just be careful of that. Proud Liberal 24 said, you can encapsulate a crawl space and it will be fine. Yeah, but like here, I'm just going to give you the little, the thing that I think about, right? I hate crawl spaces. I like a crawl space here in Louisiana, but I hate a crawl space here in Louisiana because as soon as you go under there, they're dark and everything here kills you. I'm telling you, every spider will kill you. Every ant will bite you. You could die from enough ant bites. Every creepy crawly thing that you see outside is poisonous in some way. It's going to kill you in some way, shape, or form. And so I like them because of the water being able to go underneath and not get into the house, and it allows water to flow freely. I hate them because of if I had to go under there and take care of something, I'd be freaking out. And we have snakes galore and yeah. So going against the green said they wouldn't get a crawl space. No crawl space, basement only for the peaceful warrior. Nicholas says, I own both. No complaints with either. Oh, cool. I own 2 houses, one with a crawl space and one with a finished basement. I like basements. I like a basement too. Just say no to a crawl space. Zach says, just say no. I need a basement. Yeah, here in Louisiana, they don't have them. I want the basement for the extra space. Yeah, more space to hold your garbage and crap. That would be me. Walkout basements are awesome. Yes, our house in Georgia was like that. Yeah, no windows. Sometimes they don't. No to a crawl space. People are not digging the crawl space. Jose said he would go with either. Susan Jackson says it would depend on the price, but empty nesters, I don't really need a basement. Yeah, I don't know. I like having my stuff. SB says yes, basement, yes. Crawl space over a slab, no. Yes to walkout basements. No basements in Florida. My basement has windows. Yeah, some of them do. Some basements do. Basements are great in dry places. I don't like crawl spaces. That's what David said. Sandy says, I like ranches on slabs. I own 3 of them. MHO8 says, basements for water heater and furnace. Laundry appliances as well. Yeah. Yeah, I miss basements too. I miss them. Crawl spaces, less work. First floor laundry, I love. Yes. Yeah, going up and down stairs and carrying laundry, and then the basement's all especially if it's not finished, it's got all that basement dust everywhere, and then you're bringing your clothes up, and God forbid a sweater fall on the stairs on the way up, and you're like, do I need to wash it again? It's so dusty. You have to contemplate. Do I need to wash that again? Peter says, I own a slab, crawl space, and basement houses. It really doesn't matter in the big picture. All right, Peter. My first home was built in the 1800s in upstate New York. Partial basement, but dirty floor. If I had kept it, I would have paid to finish it out. Yeah. Those older basements too, they have a tendency to crumble and start leaching water in. But basements are great for storage, especially if you're really into canning and stuff. A basement's great. It's It's like an underground garage. It's like your own secret lair. Cisco says, I'd rather have a basement than a 2-story house, but that's just me. You know what? I'm with you. I just don't want the laundry in the basement. Peaceful Warrior 400 says basement could be a nice office space or laundry area, or maybe even a man cave. How about a she shed? Does it have to be a man cave? Can it be a she shed? I don't know if you guys know, but this is a she shed. This whole thing out here is a she shed. My backyard. This isn't attached to the house. It's a she shed. Smart Think says, question, your view of SY, the home inspector, who the home builders kept suing and trying to take the inspector's license away because he finds their bad workmanship. Oh, that guy. Yeah. He, are you talking about the one that is on TikTok? I don't know if he's on YouTube. He's doing a service, right? Here in Louisiana, you can't film anything without the permission of the home builder. It's their property until the buyer purchases it. So he, I don't know how he got around being able to film it. And he never said the name of the company, but he wasn't trying to be shy on who the company or the builder was. It'll be interesting to find out if he, I don't know if he can lose his license from it, because he wasn't saying that anything that wasn't untrue. He was being factual, but I don't know. That maybe they could find him liable for other things, but I don't think it's anything for him to lose his license over. Question, what kind of roof? Are you talking about like a 20-year, a 30-year or 50-year roof? And they have metal roofs. I have Eddie, we have a 30-year roof, correct? Yeah, it's a 30-year roof.
Correct. It's 30.
Yeah, 30-year roof. But it doesn't matter if it was, built for 30 years. After 10 years, the insurance company is like, nope, it's not new. It's 10 years old. So we're going to jack up your insurance rates. It's crazy.
The best one is still a metal roof.
Yeah, metal roofs.
Metal.
Eddie used to work in roofing. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. He had a short stint with the roofing industry, and he told me all about roofs. He even had special little shoes he could climb up on the roofs. He looked very cute. He was working his tail off doing that job. Charlton says, question. I was told years ago by a property tax assessment that under 7 feet is not living space. Have you heard that? So here, it depends on the state. So each state defines what is considered living space differently. Here in Louisiana, it has to be everything that's under air. Under air. It has to be under the air conditioning. But they consider bonus rooms because they have a separate air conditioning unit that isn't part of the whole entire house. They consider those to be half the value of the square footage. So you could value price per square foot. Let's just say it's $100 per square foot on most of the house. But then that bonus room that's upstairs, it would be only $50 per square foot. So that's how you would calculate the cost. But in other areas, it's like it has to do with how much of that basement is finished in order for it to be considered living square footage. Or it has to do with the heating and airing and how much heat and air is being used for the living square footage. If you have a separate unit or even window units in the basement, they cannot consider that living square footage. So you have to check with your state to find out what they consider living square footage. Yep. Kay Dockery says, no, basement square footage is not included in the total square footage of the home, even if it's a finished basement. And that depends on the state as well. That will depend on the state that you live in. Not all states consider that. If it is in some states, if it is a fully finished basement, they will count that as living square footage. So just to make you aware. The question, how's the Oregon market looking? I don't know. I have not looked at the Oregon housing market. I can get back to you on that one. Well, I can take a look another time, but I Haven't taken a good look at it. I'm going to take a little sippy sip of tea here. I'm getting a little parched. I wonder, can you hear that? Can you like hear the, like my big swallow? Hold on.
Yes.
Like this, it sounds so gross. It sounds like there's like crunchy stuff in my neck. Anyways, Andre says, hello from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hello there. How are you, friend? Nick says, question, do modular homes hold their value to regular homes over time? Yes. Okay. So if it is a true modular and it was built to building code in your area or higher than that building code, not only will it resell for the same amount of value as a traditional home, it will also appraise the exact same way, and you can use that as collateral for refinancing. You can use that for, I mean, it's a traditional home. It just so happened the components of it were built in a factory. A modular, a true modular, is no different than a traditional home. Everything about it is the same. Sometimes it's even built better than a traditional home. It just so happens that the pieces of that house were built in a factory and they brought it to the location. But yes, they appraise exactly the same. They resell exactly the same. Charlton says, question, is an underground bomb shelter living space? No, it is not, but it is a selling point for people. It is a selling point. We had another call that came in, Eddie. If you want to go ahead and put that on the screen. If you guys want to call and leave a message for next week, we're going to be talking about taxes and what you can actually deduct from your taxes when it comes to housing. You can put in a question, and you can also make a phone call right here, which is 888-255-0197. 888-255-0197. It is toll free. It is toll free. And yeah, and there's the tax question form. Eddie's going to go ahead and put a link to that in the chat. I will also have that as a pinned comment, for this live stream. And if you want to go ahead and leave your tax question for our tax guy, Trey. Thank you, Eddie, for putting that in the chat.
Yeah, I'm calling from Jericho, Oklahoma. Well, I don't know if you can even answer this, but I'm calling about buying a house that's under a historical society. Kind of what the pitfalls of that are. There's very limited research or very limited information on the Oklahoma Historical Society out there. And I don't know, but I'm kind of at my wit's end. I cannot find any information at all.
Oh, we have this issue here in Louisiana. So every city has an area that's considered like the historic area, the historic district. They'll have homes that they have deemed historical. And when they have those people out there, they have a say in pretty much everything you do to that house, because they do not want to change the character of the house. And it can become kind of difficult in the fact that if something happens to your house, let's just say a flood happens to your house, and there's a bunch of water that comes in. And of course, you have to remove all that damage. To replace those items, a lot of the historical areas in your area will tell you you have to replace it with the same kinds of materials that they had for the age of the home. So if you had plaster walls in your house and you had certain kinds of things, they will tell you cannot use drywall. You cannot replace it with that kind of stuff. You have to replace it with plaster. If the flooring comes in, you can't replace it with vinyl plank. It has to be true wood flooring and, period related flooring. You can't put some kind of wood that wouldn't be related to the period of the house. Not all areas are going to be like this, and they have certain rules. So what I would tell you to do if you're having a hard time getting them on the phone is, an unfortunate thing is, probably just drive down there and that way you can walk in the door and say, hey, look, I need a list of the rules. Tell me what the rules are for this area. And they'll let you know. They'll let you know. And especially if you have any kind of plans for your house, anything that relates to the outside and the inside of your home, I would bring a lot of pictures with you as well. If you're able to not get them on the phone and you don't want to drive down, I'd start emailing them. and say, hey, here's my house. This is what I would like to do. I'm really interested in this house, but I need to know what the restrictions that are for this, because I know it's deemed historical. And there, there are some things I would like to know. If you could please let me know. And like I said, give them the address, give them any kind of site plans you have of the house, and give them all the pictures you could think of, and see if they'll answer via email. So that's what I tell you to do. I love a historical home, but they can be a big, giant pain in the hiney. After Katrina, those people, I mean, it was like little stupid stuff, and they were knocking on the door. You can't replace it with that. Can't do that. Nope. That doorbell ringer, it's not the right one. It's not period piece. You got to make it for the area and the period. Prairieville 24 says, question, with insurance company, does it matter the type of roof policy for the policy costs? Metal roof versus shingle roof? Yeah, so you get more of a deduction for metal roofs. They give you a little bit of a break. It ain't much. It ain't much, but they do give you a bit of a deduction for a metal roof, because they know that they're much sturdier and they're going to last a lot more in inclement weather. That's for sure. All right. Prairieville 24 says, are millennials really expecting a house to look like an HGTV when you sell? A lot of that's for television. I find that a lot of things that people say, younger people don't want to buy a house, or they're expecting everything to look like it's on HGTV and they have no budget for it. Like, of course, you're going to run into some people like that, but the majority of people understand, look, this is the price point I can afford. This is what I can get. And, they're understanding of that. I also find that every area has a different viewpoint of how much houses what they should look like on the inside for the certain kinds of price points. I was shocked when I came to Louisiana for our price point house. I thought, honest to God, I thought we won the lottery, the way that I just couldn't believe it from where we came from as far as a house, because it was just a little house, a little starter home. And then the same budget coming to Louisiana. I mean, we had triple crown molding, we had wood floors, we had, the raised floorboards, we had, real brick fireplaces. That was not a thing unless you were in $1 million houses in Florida, in the area that I lived in. So to have our little tiny house, our little house that we're having with our little babies moving in with all this, to me, was just high end. Not only like real wood, thick wood cabinetry, like real wood, thick wood. I was just shocked. But it's customary here. It's culturally ingrained that these houses, no matter how small they are, you're going to make them look nice. And that's not the same in all areas. And the condition of homes and how people take care of homes at certain price points is different as well. And you have to kind of adjust to that for that specific area. How your roof affects your homeowner's insurance. Oh, this is from Progressive. We dumped them like a hot potato because they tried to jack up our. Here we go. All right. Oh, I've got 2 pairs of glasses on. Boy, oh boy. I'm starting to turn into my mom. Okay. The age of the roof insurance goes hand in hand. A newer roof may mean a lower rate. A roof that's 20 years old or more may be ineligible for coverage or only cover the actual cost of the value. Condition. Insurance companies look for roofs that are in good condition with no visible signs of wear and tear. Material. A slate roof is considered the most stable and may earn a lower rate. A wooden roof isn't fire resistant and poses a risk, resulting in a higher rate and may be ineligible for a policy. Shape. Gable roofs and high hip roofs are 2 most common roofs. Their different designs affect their susceptibility to damage and therefore impact the cost to insure them. Hip roofs tend to perform better during windstorms, and discounts may be available in coastal areas. Well, we learn something new every day. Thank you, Edward, for sharing with the class. I appreciate you.
What's funny is they talk about slate roofs, most expensive to also put on.
Yeah, they're super expensive to put on.
And the worst to fix too, because if one cracks, when you better have enough pieces of slate to also fix the ones that you walk on coming down.
Yeah, and then isn't that the truth of tile roofs too, like in Florida?
Tile roofs you can get away with as long as you know where to walk on, but slates you're gonna crack them all the time, every time walking down.
They sure do look pretty though. Yeah, and somebody wants to know how long they last, Edward. How long does a slate roof last?
Slate roof can last pretty much the same time as like a metal roof. I mean, it could be forever almost.
Yeah, because they're stone, right? The whole thing is a piece of stone. So as long as the slate stays together, it's there.
But like I said, you go to fix it, you're going to have to fix every one of those that you walk on.
Yeah, that whole section. So if there's one at the very top, everything that's going down, you're going to have to fix it all the way down. Yep. Charlton says Eddie gave a roofing education 101 class. Thank you. Marcus says, question, will a house in the middle of a renovation pass the FHA appraisal, i.e. missing flooring and wall that is not painted? Not in my area. It sure won't. Nope. No, indeed. Marcus, I have to tell you, like, I had one delayed. Oh, matter of fact, Eddie and I had ours delayed when we bought our first house. It was delayed because of a little, I'm telling you, a piece of trim this big. It was like a little drip trim over a window. And we couldn't close until that was finished. They had to go out there like 3 times to make sure that those little things that the FHA required. I said, absolutely not. That was in Florida. Here in Louisiana, it's the same. But yeah, you may get away with it in some areas, but no. If it's not painted, it definitely is not going to get approved. Proud Liberal 24. My old college roommate did a roof one summer for a job. The roof broke and he ended up in a living room. Oh, Eddie's fallen through a ceiling before going into the attic. He slipped, fell right through. Brian says, so the first Little Pigs insurance must have been through the roof, pun intended, with it being made of straw. Yeah. Overjoyed says, question, how do insurance companies treat slate roofs and metal roofs? Does the 10-year rule still apply? That would depend on your insurance company.
No, it doesn't. Metal roofs usually are 50 years. Now, if you do a standing seam, it lasts longer. It should last at least 50 years because of the fact that the screws are covered. Whereas just an R panel roof, the screws are exposed. So you start with a certain screw, and then every 5 years, you need to replace those screws because the gasket on it will deteriorate because it's rubber.
So you get the right screws so you don't get screwed.
Well, it actually doesn't matter. You're still going to have to replace them, and you're going to have to do it like every 5 to 10 years it gets replaced. And then that's why they say it's 50 years because it's only like up to 5 different screws that you're doing.
Okay. Thank you, Edward. I appreciate it. We learned a lot about roofing today, all with the voice in the background. It's like, like an ominous voice in the background giving us this information. If you have any questions, now's your time to throw them in there really quick because we're wrapping this sucker up. I want to put this out there. I want to say thank you to the moderators. I also want to tell you that next week we're going to be talking about taxes and what tax deductions you can do with in concern with your house or any kind of real estate transactions. You can use the Eddie's going to go ahead and put a link in the comment section right now for the guy that's coming in. His name is Trey, and you can ask your tax related questions when it comes to real estate, and he's going to answer them for you. if you want to get a hold of me, you can always go to my website and you can click on one of the pink buttons. Go to KristinaSmallhorn.com, click on one of the pink buttons, fill out the form, and I will give you a little ringy dingy and we'll have a discussion about your real estate needs. If you'd like to share this with your friends and family because they wanted to know about roofs and they wanted to talk about basements, you can go and share that anywhere that you listen to your podcast. Go to Kristina Smallhorn, Real Estate for Everyone, and go ahead and hit the little share button. And he always wants me to remind you, if you do happen to go over there and you see a spot where you can review the podcast, he wants to ask, plead, beg a little bit. If you'd leave a review and at least give us 5 stars, he would appreciate that. He wants me to remind you guys every week of that, and I never do. So in the meantime, I hope you guys have a fantastic real estate week. Who's up first says, does Eddie have any experience with green roofs? I don't know if he does.
No, I do not.
No, he does not. He does not. And with that, everybody, I want to say adieu to you and you and you. And thank you, Eduardo. And thank you to over 500 of you spending the Sunday with me. I can't wait to talk about taxes next week. The poll results are in. And Debbie says, this is the South heading for a crash. 46% say yes. 21% say no. And 33% say for correction. Okay, I'm interested. Only time will tell. We'll have to revisit that question again. All right, everybody. Bye. Be good. Stay out of trouble. Don't talk to strangers. Look both ways before crossing. Hit that end of the stream button, Eddie.
Kristina signing off. This stream's about to close. Tiny homes, big dreams, the wisdom she bestows. Real estate queen, always keeping us in toes. Hustle on 1,000, every vibe she shows.